I wanted to take just a minute and talk a little bit about our healthy eating tip for the day. We know that one of the biggest things that we need to do for our children on this journey through autism is to get them healthy, right? It's something, whether our child was on the spectrum or not, as parents, we would feel very adamant about that. But it sort of steps up when our child has autism. And as a parent of a child with autism, I know it can be so difficult sometimes because it seems like it's all, on different playing fields that, there's the getting your child healthy and then there's the challenging behavior in the beginning. But I think that you'll find that you only help yourself with everything if you get your child as healthy as possible. And there are lots of different considerations in terms of getting your child healthy. But one of the ones I want to talk about today is the types of food that we put into our child's body. And I'm speaking specifically about being as organic as we possibly can. I know I was so resistant to this for so long, and you think, oh, autism is so expensive, and how on earth am I going to pay for organic fruits and vegetables? And if your child is somebody who doesn't love fruits and vegetables, and you're paying so much extra for the organic ones, it seems like it's a losing situation. But there was a new report that came out a couple of years ago from the President's Cancer Panel. That eating produce without pesticides would help to reduce your risk of getting cancer and other diseases is what they arrived at. And they recommended, they made a list of the worst offenders and the least offenders in terms of pesticides. So they came up with the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. And I think that there's some really good guidelines here for suggestions. We're going to put that all through a filter at the end. But there are some fruits and vegetables that we absolutely, if we're going to buy them, we want to pay the extra and get them organic. Now, I realize that this was a study about cancer, but if we're trying to stay as healthy as possible, and for a lot of our kids, we see that their ability to handle illness and process toxins is compromised. And I say that completely, as a parent who has gone through that with my child. So if that isn't your child, then I'm not talking to you. But I think we all want our children to be as healthy as possible. So by using the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, they estimated that you can reduce the amount of toxins you consume on a daily basis by as much as 80%. That's a lot. Okay. So here are the Dirty Dozen. Are you ready? Celery, peaches, strawberries, apples, domestic blueberries, nectarines, sweet bell peppers. I know, I just about cried when I saw that one. The green vegetables, which they're classifying as spinach, kale, and collard greens, cherries, potatoes, imported grapes, and lettuce. All right, if you stop and think about all of those things, they're pretty much things that you eat with the peel on. And that is sort of a really good gauge because it's something that's in the field, and so it's going to pick up things, and all you're doing is washing and not doing anything else. You're not peeling any protective layer off. So that gives you a really good indication of the kinds of things that you want to be wary of. The only one on that list that I feel doesn't really fit that category are potatoes, but it is very clearly on the Dirty Dozen list. And I'm wondering if that's because it's literally submerged. But carrots are not on there, so it's very interesting to me. Okay, so now let's take a second here to talk about the Clean 15. And again, you're going to notice that these are the kinds of things that have some sort of peel to them, some sort of protective layer. These are the ones that they're saying, you know what, if you can't buy organic, if you can afford to buy organic for everything, why not? But if you can't afford to buy organic, that these are the kinds of vegetables that you can buy conventionally grown and you're not risking as much. In their tests for this particular study that we're talking about, these vegetables and fruits bore little to no traces of pesticides. Now, I will tell you that that was after having been washed with a very high pressure wash system that none of us owns. So, but if when it comes down to dollars, we want our kids to be healthy, but we have to feed them, right? So here's the clean 15: onions, avocados, sweet corn, pineapples, mangoes, sweet peas, asparagus, kiwi fruit, cabbage, eggplant, cantaloupe, watermelon, grapefruit, and sweet potatoes. So I don't understand why the potatoes, and then sweet onions. Okay, so, again, most of those are things that have a pretty good peel, although that's not true of asparagus, so there goes my theory in terms of that. In any case, there were 49 types of produce that were rated on the scale altogether, so there are a whole bunch of things in the middle. But if you want to find out more about the study or more about the vegetables that were in the middle or the individual rating for each one of them, you can go to www.foodnews.org, and they have those studies there. So let me go over the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. So again, and I know when you think of these things on the Dirty Dozen, there are several that are kid kind of favorites, right? Celery, peaches, strawberries, apples. So that means all the apples, all the applesauce, really beneficial for us to buy the organic. Domestic blueberries, nectarines, sweet bell peppers, spinach, kale, and collard greens, cherries, potatoes. So when we're talking about the French fries and the mashed potatoes, much better to buy the organic. Imported grapes and lettuce. And the lettuce is hard to get organic, I have to say. But on the Clean 15, onions, avocados, sweet corn, pineapples, mango, sweet peas, asparagus, kiwi fruit, cabbage, eggplant, cantaloupe, watermelon, grapefruit, sweet potatoes, and sweet onions. I'm laughing a little bit because this one doesn't read as much like little kid food, except for things like the watermelon and maybe the cantaloupe. But there's a whole lot of things there that I'm going, yeah, I don't think your typical kid really loves. So when you're at the grocery store and when you're considering what to buy organic, these are some guidelines to follow because, again, this study is saying that you can reduce the amount of toxins you consume on a daily basis by as much as 80% by looking at the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 and buying appropriately. I encourage you to go to your local farmer's market and ask the farmers there about what we know is that it takes a long time for a farm to go organic. I believe in most states it's 7 years. So you might find that there is a farmer who is in the process of going organic, is not all the way there, but is not using pesticides now and maybe hasn't for a couple of years. Maybe they're still 3 years away from being deemed organic, but there are not going to be any pesticides on your child's vegetables. And that's a really good way to compromise. I know it's spring, it's been a long winter, and the farmers markets in a lot of places haven't been open, but they're starting to open now. So that's a really good, healthy alternative. You're going to get those fresh vegetables. You might even be able to start a relationship with the farmer, and that's a really good thing. You're supporting a local farmer and giving your child things that are healthy for them and going to help them in the long run.